Hi guys, so today I'm doing a little bit of vlogging, so first time I've ever done this, and I wanted to talk about why go to graduate school for your MFA. Okay, so I saw this in a Facebook post that somebody was thinking about attending graduate school, and they were looking for online programs. They were already working full time. This conversation happens a lot in art teachers because as teachers, we're encouraged, whether you're in public or private schools, to continue your learning and professional development, and getting your master's degree is one of them. So, why an MFA? So, I am only talking from my personal experience. I know everybody is different about this. A lot of art teachers will get their master's degree in art education, and for me, that was not a very good route because I just really never really liked like the theory behind why we make art. I mean, I would understand it. I did all the papers on it when I was getting my art education certificate and going through that program. It wasn't my favorite thing to do. I liked writing lessons and I liked teaching a lot. I really enjoy that aspect. But sitting down and imagining going to school online or doing a low residency program in art education was just like, there's no way. I'm just going to be like falling asleep and checking out. So, my undergrad is actually a BFA in illustration. And so I was looking around for programs online because I wanted to maintain my full time job as an art teacher. So I ended up going to where I got my bachelor's degree because they were offering a Master of Fine Arts in illustration. So I really wanted to pursue that. And actually, it's kind of odd, but I started the program about 10 years ago. So I decided now is the time. I'm in a good place. I'm ready to go back to school. And so my class that I'd taken before still counted towards that degree. And so I went ahead and resubmitted. So because it'd been so long ago, I had to reapply. So their portfolio application at the Savannah College of Art and Design is all online. It's called Slides or something like eslides.com, and you upload your artwork there and you write a little bit about why you want to attend SCAD. Now, SCAD does have a very high acceptance rate, but what I really was looking for is, you know, some pros. I had some pros and cons for why I wanted to do this. So let me go into some of that before I jump into why I picked SCAD. Um, but the pros for attending for me personally to get my MFA in illustration was that I'd spent 10 years as a graphic designer and freelance illustrator before I went into teaching. So I've taught for 11 years, taught like pre-K through 12th grade, and I've also taught adults too. And for me, one of the big things was during my bachelor's degree, you didn't really realize like, oh, there's a lot of really talented illustrators out there. And I was getting some regional, local, like as far as freelance work, but looking back at that and where my skill set was, I was like, I really want to up my game. I really want to improve my craft. I really want to be able to work with bigger companies and produce work that is on the level that you need to have in order to get those jobs. So that was number one for me, is improving my craft. Number two is I needed the discipline. You don't have to go to art school in order or get your MFA in order to get freelance work. I mean, I have never once had somebody ask me when I've applied to get some freelance work, I guess, or made a query for whether it's a magazine or advertising or a children's book work. No one's ever asked me, well, do you have your master's degree or do you have a bachelor's degree in art? No, they never ask. They just want to see your portfolio and see the kind of work that you're producing and does it fit what they want for their products or services. So yeah, it's never ever come up. So for me though, it's the discipline that you get with getting that degree. Like I was really I'm a pretty disciplined person, but I'm not as disciplined as I should be because some people I see they don't ever get their degree. They're going like crazy with their art and they just really go 120 miles per hour. But I found it really hard because I was working a full-time job as an art teacher and it was making that commitment and time and saying, hey, I'm really going to take this seriously. So, in order to do that, I felt like I had to get go back to school and work on my master's degree, which it really kick-started. And so it really gave me that boost that I needed to make my illustrations, rework my portfolio, go and put the energy and effort into it while working full time. So that was the number two, my needing that discipline. So yeah, going to graduate school, and I'm doing e-learning, even doing e-learning, yeah, that's a seriously understanding your time management. So my number three thing was I've always wanted to get my master's degree. I don't know why. It was just always something I wanted to do. And I was always encouraged in my family that, getting more education is a good idea, encouraged to to learn and get a degree. So an MFA here in the United States is the highest degree for fine arts. Maybe in other countries, I don't know. Maybe somebody could comment in the description box below. But here in the US, the MFA is the highest. If you want to be able to teach at most colleges nowadays and universities, you have to have your MFA. So that was another thing because I wanted the option to teach at the college level because I taught for the local universities like continuing education program and I taught adults and I really really enjoyed it. They were just really great students to talk to. We'd spend, over an hour critiquing work and just, what were they interested in and how do we get there. So that was really exciting. I really enjoyed that. Okay, so number four is as a art teacher and whether you're working public or private school. So this MFA in illustration, this works better for private school. You also have to look at your state because everybody's state's rules are a little bit different. But if you get your MFA at where I was teaching or where I'm teaching now, I could get a increase in my level. So like I started out as a T4, which is I have my bachelor's degree. I'm certified and endorsed by the state to teach art education. And then every time you get another degree, it can bump you up another level. So when I got my art teaching certificate, it didn't really bump me up a level. I didn't realize that. So as I was working, and then I was realized everybody had their master's degree because they were getting these pay bumps. So with my MFA at where I teach now, that would be a two-step increase to a T6. You do want to make sure if you are a public school art teacher, they may be more particular about what you're getting your master's degree in. So you might end up being forced to, if you really want to get your master's, you might have to get an art education, or they might say, oh, you have to get it in painting, or you have to get it in drawing. But I would check with your state's professional, teaching credential department and see if you need to get prior approval and what you need to take. Because I think back in the old days, people would just take whatever and then they would get their pay bump. But now states are very particular about having it in that discipline that ties into whatever you're actually teaching. So, okay, number five. I got a scholarship. So I will tell you, the tuition for graduate school, woo! I was like, I thought art school was expensive back in the day. Like, I don't want to date myself, but it's been a couple decades. I thought it was expensive back then, and like, wow, it has gone up astronomically. I'm like, woo! So the scholarship was really helpful. So when I applied at SCAD, did the portfolio, typed out my little essays, and because I was an art teacher, they have an educator scholarship, and that really helped to kind of seal the deal that I would go ahead and do their online program there. So yeah, it's pretty sizable, and if you, from what I understood, you want to check with whatever program you're going for, and the scholarship financial aid department. But should I leave teaching and I decide to go full time at SCAD, they'll still give me the educator scholarship, which is nice. They also offer, if you're a continuing student, they have other scholarships. So every April it opens up for about a month, and you can apply directly in your MySCAD and see what you qualify for as far as scholarships that relate to your major and your particular circumstances. Okay. Uh, Six, sorry, I have to count. Six, I decided to do e-learning. So because I was working full time, e-learning works out great for my school schedule. I work full time as an art teacher at a high school, teaching graphic design, photography, animation, and just a little bit of game design. So it's a lot, but it was conducive to my schedule. So I went ahead and took this year, school year, and I was just taking one e-learning class every quarter. So they're on a quarter system. So when I would get home from work, I'd just jump on the computer, start finding out what my assignments are, and working on that. Um, so the flexibility of being able to do an online program is great. I mean, you still have to put in a lot of work. Like time is like you will have some serious time management. Like I was like, ooh, I'm kind of busy as a teacher. No, I got really busy because then I was doing full-time teaching. I do coaching, and then I had this graduate class, and I was just like, I can't squeeze in anything else. And then on top of it, if you have other commitments like a family and they want to spend time with you, um, it's a lot. So you have to realize, like, and it's like anything. It's like, for me personally, I wanted to put a lot of time into it because of my other points of point one, two, and three about proving my craft, having the discipline, about actually getting my MFA. And so yeah, I wanted to be really committed and produce work that was of a higher quality, even though I'm working full time. So yeah, you figure out really quickly how to manage your time and how to figure it out, but it's not for everybody. I mean, there are some online slash low residency programs that might suit some people better. Anyways, I might post some of those in the description box, the ones that I did find, because I did look into one of those that I was highly rated for illustration, and the graduates from that program that had gone on to do some just amazing work in the field of illustration. But I just looked at what I needed to do, and I was like, I'm just not ready to give up that kind of time, like that in-person contact, which is amazing. Like, don't get me wrong, in person always wins out. I mean, e-learning's great because you do get to be in classes with students that are from all over the world. I mean, that was pretty cool. I was like, and they're so talented. I was like, wow, you're in like China, or you're in the Middle East, or you're in India, and you're like, that's pretty cool. So I thought that was neat, and I get, you'd still get that, I guess, on campus, but it was neat because everybody was working. They were all working professionals and trying to add to their own skills, whether they're illustration majors or not. Because you might have some who are not actually illustration majors. They could be from another program and they're just taking that class as an elective. So, anyway, so another thing, networking and the fellowship. Okay, so getting my master's degree, I felt really isolated because I had switched over to teaching and I kind of really stopped like freelancing. I was doing some artwork, doing some graphic design on the side, but I would say actually really trying to get work, and I had stopped like 10 years ago. So I wasn't keeping my portfolio up. I wasn't really networking. And like I said, you meet all these different artists and illustrators and designers from all over, and that's been great. And then you can connect with them. And I've met two really sweet illustrators that I got to know from online, and I feel like I really kind of know them as people, and they've been great about giving me feedback on my work. And I think as an art teacher, you're giving out so much criticism and feedback to your students. You kind of don't always get the time to really look at your art. I mean, you look at it, but it really helps to have somebody else give you their thoughts, because you really, just like your students, you just miss things. And so I found that was really, really helpful. And yeah, and really a big part of illustration is getting new clients and learning how the market's changing, and you're going to get that information from people who are currently working or recent graduates from illustration, and everybody's super nice. They'll really, help you out because they know what it's like to be in that same situation. So I kind of went over the pros, and I kind of did a little bit of the cons, or in the pros list that I was giving earlier. But I didn't really quite go into the cons. So one of the cons is it's very expensive, and like I said, it's really expensive. When I Googled it, because I mean, I do know what I'm paying for graduate school, but I only take one class a quarter. If you were to go full time to get your master's degree at SCAD, it would be $38,975. So that's a big chunk of change to take out. So I've learned over the years, and I think this is a big thing because I didn't go right after my bachelor's degree into my master's degree. I'm really glad I didn't do that, because I think it kind of set me up for knowing, where do I really want to go with my illustration work? Like the stuff I'm doing now, they didn't even offer the classes. Like they have drastically added so many more classes to and electives for illustration now at SCAD. It's great. And the professors I've had already, they've been pretty awesome. So, and even though it's e-learning, I feel like you do get a sense of who they are and, what their expectations and their directions. But yeah, I was like, it's been good overall. But like I said, it's what you put into it. I think, like anything, because I'm an art teacher, you see it's like a bell curve. That's what I tell people. It's like you're always going to have students who go that above and beyond, and they get that small section, and then you got people writing in the middle, and then you're always going to have students who are maybe struggling, or they don't put as much effort into it. And so I looked at it, I'm paying this big amount for my master's degree, and it's like the grade is important, yes, because I want to continue in that program, but I really want to hone my craft. I really want to improve. I want to be better than the artist I was 6 months ago. And so redoing pieces even after I got a grade on it, and maybe I just need to redo it, because maybe it's just like I've that light switch goes off and you go like, I really need to redo that. Or exploring further on personal projects, something I learned in class, but then we only got to barely kind of touch on it. And so moving it forward and taking it to the next level. So yeah. But yeah, so time, even though it's e-learning, you're still going to spend a good chunk of your time on it. So and also they do try to make sure, like, there's a candidacy review, and with that review, it's going to help you know how you're doing in the program, besides your grades, but it's kind of like a benchmark, and they just kind of have you lay out all your projects, your personal pieces, what are you doing, your sketchbooks, and then it's kind of a pass or fail thing. So it's a little nerve-wracking, but then it decides whether you get to continue on and get your master's degree. So, but anyways, those are the reasons why I chose to get my MFA in illustration. And if you have any thoughts about why you're getting or thinking about getting your MFA that I didn't touch on, that would be great to post in the description box. I'll also post an article that has other schools that offer online programs, because there's quite a few now. When I started like 10 years ago, there was hardly any, but now there's been, especially with every school moving online instruction because of the quarantines and the shelter in place and the virus going on. I just foresee the online, I know a lot of people are like, it's really hard, online learning, and it's a visual medium. It is harder for, like, if I was a sculpture major, I'd be like, online, how am I gonna, like, do that and learn? Because that's 3D. I think it's much more manageable if you're doing something like illustration. I think it's fairly, because to me it almost mimics, like, when you have a client, like the clients that I had with children's books, none of them were local to me. Like, I was just emailing, going back and forth, maybe a couple phone calls, and then there were also some regional editorial publications. I mean, I call them regional, but they were in the next city over, and I wasn't going to make a 2 or 3 hour drive to go talk to the art director. So I feel like illustration is something doable, and that you can get something out of it from online learning. So for me, but yeah, if you're thinking about getting your MFA in illustration, good luck, and I hope you find the right program for you to study. Okay, thanks for listening.